What's up, guys? Your boys are back. I'm Ryan, my man George.
What's shit, guys? How you living out there, man? Shout out to the free thinkers. Shout out to everybody, of course, that's been following us on our new Instagram, which is Def to Radio, DEAF #2 Radio. Make sure y'all follow us there.
And as always, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified when we drop new music. Up-and-coming artists, check out the link in the description. We'll do about 60 seconds of your song in the front of one of our up-and-coming videos to get you some promotion. So make sure you check that out if you're interested.
Bush, Everything Zen. You know, we've been getting requests for Bush for, I'd say, on it, not too much, but decent amount of requests for a few years, man. I would say even since we started the channel. And I know that they came up especially when we did our grunge stuff, whether we were doing Mother Love Bone or whether we were doing Pearl Jam or Nirvana or Soundgarden. I always saw Bush sprinkled in there, and I've heard the name Bush. You know, from back in the day, I remember that name Bush circulating a little bit, but I don't know if I've heard anything from this band. So let's read up on them a little bit. English rock band formed in London, England in '92. And their vocalist and rhythm guitarist is Gavin Rossdale. That name does sound familiar. Lead guitarist Chris Traynor. And bassist Corey Britz and drummer Nick Hughes. Not sure if they're still touring or doing anything, or if they're all together still, but that's what it has here. In '94, Bush found immediate success outside the UK with the release of their debut album, 16 Stone, which is this album, or this song that we're doing is off of that album. They went on to become one of the most commercially successful rock bands of the 90s.
Wow.
Selling over 10 million records in the United States and 20 million records worldwide. And it says Bush has had numerous top 10 singles on the Billboard rock charts, and they had a #1 album, which is insane. #1 album with Razor Blade Suitcase, and that was in '96. It looks like they broke up in '02, reformed in 2010. So anyways, yeah, man, I remember if I heard of the band, they were big. They were a certain level of popularity back in that time. If I heard of a rock band, they were definitely of a certain level of popularity. So let's get into it, man.
All right, let's see.
Y'all said this is kind of grunge, you know, grunge-ish, alternative rock. So, you know, I love that era. So let's see if they can kind of, you know, win us over here, man. Bush, Everything Zen.
Should I fly to Los Angeles? Find my asshole brother. Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. Dave's on sale again. Kiss a kiss in the rear view. We're so poor, you're to blame. Trust you once my wife. Everything's in hell.
Yeah, they got some nasty. Thank you, Ryan.
I don't think so. Everything's in hell.
It's great because we said it at the same time with those. We can hear the tone is nasty.
Yeah, man.
The riffs, the progressions and everything are really, really nice, but it's suffering from, and I don't know if it's what we're listening to, but it's suffering from bad production because I feel like we're not able to really. Those riffs aren't popping enough from an engineering mixing standpoint, but they're nasty though. That's where I'm at so far with it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. But as I remember though, man, and maybe I need to revisit some of these songs, man. As I think about grunge, doesn't it have like that that like, I don't want to say distorted sound, but it's almost like maybe a fuzz to it, or just some kind of something in the engineering or the mixing, something within that to give it
Grittiness or
yeah, as I remember it. So I think it sounds good for what they're trying to get across, but the chords and how they're playing it and coming in and out of this, I'm gonna just call it the traditional groove. It's like they're coming out of a traditional groove and going into that. They're giving you other dynamics within structure, if that makes sense. So I appreciate that, and it took me, that's why I was like, oh, let me kind of jam out and listen to it. And when they kind of got into this breakdown, I'm like, yeah, they got some chords in there that's nasty.
Yeah, let's keep it going though, man. I did like how that bass sounded in the quieter parts. I think that what you guys said, Nirvana, and maybe even the Pixies made that sort of contrast popular, where it's like heavy and loud to like really, really low and sort of quiet. I think you guys said Nirvana sort of took that to a different stratosphere, and there was another group before Nirvana that made that popular. I've always liked that about music in general, but especially in that grunge scene. So the bass work, when it kind of got low, was really nice, and then when it got heavier, those riffs were nice as well. So let's start that back up. And then it started off with a really nasty guitar note that the lingering note to start the song. Yeah, let's start it back up. Right here.
Yep.
This was nice.
There must be something we can eat. Maybe find another lover. Should I fly to Los Angeles? Find my asshole brother. Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. Dave's on sale again. Kiss a kiss in the rear view. We're so bored you're to blame. Trust you once my wife. Everything's dead, everything's dead. I don't think so. Everything's dead, everything's dead. I don't think so. Rain Dog's hell for the century. $1 million at stake. As you search for your demigod, and you fake we're the saints. There's no sex in your violence. 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 Trust you was my wife. Everything's in, everything's in. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's so grunge though. That everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's so grunge.
It is.
When they sounded. They playing to me though,
They
man.
are, man.
They getting off to me.
And I'm always a fan of that back and forth coming out of the hard metal, harder riffs and going into I'm just gonna keep calling it the traditional groove part of the song. I've always been a fan of that when I listen to a multitude of different songs, but especially when it pertains to metal. I like the harsh and the softer contrast, like Aerials, how they had the hard and then how they bring that back. I really love that when bands do that, and I think that gives it a dimension to me. For a person that didn't grow up listening to metal all the time, that groove break to me is crucial. So I always am a little bit more biased and appreciative to bands that balance that very well. And I think they're doing that really good here.
They are, man.
I really like it.
They're coming in and out of the groove, and when they bring the heaviness back, like when they transition into the smooth, subdued part, and when they transition back into the heaviness, the burn and the burn, it is just really, really well composed in my opinion. And I actually think he sounds good. It's pretty typical of that time voice-wise, but he does have a good voice.
He does.
And I really like the chorus. I think it just I don't know, maybe it's a biased nostalgia thing, but I just remember this time a little bit. Even if I wasn't as into rock at this time, I do remember remnants of it. And I remember this sound. And so it just sounds really good. It's got really, really nice, gritty, fuzzy tone. I think it's a little over-fuzzed. I get what you were saying earlier, Ryan, like with the intention, that I feel like they maybe went a little overboard, or maybe they couldn't afford to dial it. I don't know what happened, because I feel like I'm not appreciating, because I really, really like the groove and the riffs in here, but I almost feel like I'm being cheated out of hearing them the way I want to hear them in terms of clarity. So, but dude, this is rocking to me.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right, cool. Let's get back to it.
There's no sex in your violence. Trust you was my wife. Everything's in, everything's in. I don't think so. Everything's in, everything's in. I don't think so. Everything's in, everything's in.
nice though. It still sounds good. Because I know what I'm hearing. Something.
Right. It's like, but you're still hearing the remnants of what you've been playing before.
Yep. It's hard. It's separating the things that are happening. When you said that this is crucial, though, especially with this one, having that break,
Yes.
all of the distortion, really
No
important.
sex in your violence. There's no sex in your violence. There's no sex in your violence. There's no sex in your trust you was my way. Everything's in, everything's in. I don't think so. Trust you was my way. Everything's in, everything's in. I don't think so. Then I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
They was getting busy, man. I would say that actually, I liked it from the jump, from that power chord on, but that shit kept growing on me, man, as the song kind of progressed.
Yep.
That shit won me over. That's actually playlist for me, man. I want to shout out the drumming in this, though. Me and Ryan were having a side conversation, and we were sort of extending what I had said earlier about just not really being able to hear the instruments as clearly, just because of the overabundance of fuzz, and maybe that was deliberate to Ryan's point. Maybe that was deliberate, but I felt like it was just a little bit too much because it was hard to make out separating what instruments were coming and going at certain times. And I didn't even notice the drumming until the end because of that. Like I was like, oh shit, yeah, the drum was actually going off. Like it was almost like how I feel with Mastodon, how Braun gets sort of overpowered by the music. It's just this, I guess you guys can call it the wall of sound or whatever. It almost gets overpowered. The drumming and different instruments get overpowered by the music. So I think that they actually, on some real shit, played their asses off. I thought the tone was nasty. I thought his voice was good. I really liked the chorus. I thought it was very catchy. Everything's Zen. I love the bass work in the and throughout the entire song, but even in the slow subdued parts, dum 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 dum. I thought just top to bottom, this was actually a really good song, but it's weird because it didn't take the trajectory that I thought it was gonna take. I actually felt like I was gonna, I don't know, I guess get used to it, but I felt like it just kind of progressively won me over more and more and more as I was listening to that. That's actually definitely playlist. So yeah, enjoyed that one. Shout out to Bush, man. Give us more from them.
Yeah, you know, I liked it too, man. And the conversation that George and I was having about the fuzz, man, I was like, yeah, I kind of see what you were saying about that, George, because it's hard to pick out the detail, right? Because it's fuzz, there's a little bit of like overlap in instruments because of the fuzz, and I think it's easy to miss some of the detail and the nuance in the playing because it's a lot, you know, the wall of sound or whatever it's called. It's just a lot coming at you, which is why those breaks and getting back to that traditional subtle groove is important. And I think that they played that balance very, very well. Because had that not been there, I don't know if this would be playlist for me. I would have appreciated it, but I don't know if it would have been playlist for me.
Overwhelming, probably.
Yeah, because I'd have been like, yeah, it's just too much going on, and it's the fuzz is so deliberate and thick, and it's just like, yeah, it's just hard to kind of stay captivated. But they had so much movement within the songs, not just the traditional groove, but they had breaks in the guitar playing and then the drumming. There was a lot of things to like and a lot of movement within the song to keep you engaged.
Yes.
And you appreciate those wall of sound moments where the fuzz is really pronounced and it's really thick.
Yeah.
So I really think they really played that balance perfectly.
They crushed it.
And
I think it speaks to why it grew on me. And I think Ryan even mentioned that it grew on him a little bit towards the end of the song because we were able to kind of take a step back and hear certain things. So shout out to them on that. Lyrics, man. He's saying everything Zen. I'm gonna take a quick stab at the lyrics. He's talking about his asshole brother in here. He said maybe I should find another lover. Should I fly to Los Angeles, find my asshole brother? When I think of this song, this is how it makes me feel. When I think of everything Zen, I feel like it's numbness. I feel like I think of young kids in LA that just have maybe too much time on their hands, maybe exposed to too much too soon. And when they say everything Zen, it's just like, there's sex, they're exposed to maybe drugs, they're exposed to alcohol, they're exposed to so much. Actually, these guys are from, the UK. Honestly, shout out to the Brits, man. It's amazing to me how they can sound like us better than us oftentimes, which is crazy. But how it makes me feel, this may not be the actual meaning based off of what the artist intended, but it makes me feel of just boredom. Kids are bored and, they're exposed to a lot, and maybe they just don't know how to deal with whatever problems they have going on in life, whether it's contention with family and women and relationships and all this other stuff. So they just sort of zen out. You know what I'm saying? This is a way for them to zen out and numb themselves to all of these things that are coming to them in life. That's just how I'm taking it. I could be way off. But I love the way he sung that, even though he's pretty prototypical of what I've heard in grunge before. I feel like I've heard that a lot. I still think he sounded good. And quite frankly, I usually like that style, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, yeah, man, that was dope.
That was cool. That was cool.
That's the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed that, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And also, guys, check out our Patreon channel if you're interested. It will allow you to get exclusive access to our content. The link for that will be in the description. I'm George. That's Ryan. Lost in Vegas.
We out.